Hey everyone, welcome back. So in the previous video, we have seen how we can handle different calendar that was from the dropdown and simple input. Now, in this video, let's try to see how we can handle a slightly complicated calendar. For example, if I can share my screen. So this time we're going to see this icon trigger one, where you have to click on this icon. Now there is no drop-down option here, select. So how you can handle? Based on the date you want to select, whether you have to go forward. Suppose it's 2023 and you want to select in 2024, or if you want to select 2023 some other March month, so you have to go forward. But if your date is lesser, you have to go backward, and then matching date you have to select. So that's what you have to simulate in automation. Now let's get into code and see how we can handle this scenario. So I have written few codes. For example, click on this icon tab, which because we already have seen how we can click on simple and drop down, I'm covering same I've written already for clicking on this icon trigger tab and then switching to the frame and switch back to the parent frame. This I have already explained in my previous video. So if you're not sure, you can just check my previous video on how to handle the drop down or calendar icon. So this is the same. And just to save some time, I have written a few locators here. Now, what are these locators? So whenever we are going to deal with this icon, first we need to click in this calendar icon. So we need a locator for this to perform a click. Then we need a locator to retrieve a month and a locator to retrieve a text. So we have a calendar icon to click, month date picker, year date picker, previous icon, next icon. That means this previous icon and next icon. So these are the locators that we are going to deal with, and one will be based on the date you pass. You need to click on the either of this date, and for that we already have handled in the previous video. That is the select day. So we're going to use the same one. We don't have to write new. Now let's write the actual code. So what I'm going to do, let's write step by step. Async. Let's create select date from icon trigger, and this function will expect 3 parameter. Now here one interesting thing is you need to see what you are passing as your expected date and what you are retrieving from here, and then you have to compare these two dates. So what will happen, you need to have some utility where you can compare two dates and decide which one is greater. So suppose whatever you're passing is greater and this is less, then you have to go forward. If your passing is smaller and this is greater, then you have to keep on going forward, right? So based on the date, you need to decide whether you need to go forward or backward in the calendar, right? So let's see what JavaScript or TypeScript has to offer to handle such scenario. I have written one simple file here, test.ts. In this, there is two things we're going to require. One, we need to convert the number. For example, here we are dealing with Feb, March, April. So we need to a mechanism to convert these two numbers. So for example, if we say Jan, then number should be 01. If it should be Feb, then it should be 02. If we pass December, then the number should be 12. That should be the output. So for that, we have something called date classes available in JavaScript and type nodejs. What you can do is that you can pass month and any year. I've just written a sample of 2020, 2012, but you can pass any year here, but only you can change the month you want to pass. And there is a method called get month and +1 you have to do, because it works like indexing month it gives. So you have to do +1, and then it will give you month in number. So based on this month you change, you'll get in the number. Then there is a other utility, because we have to compare two dates. We need, before comparison of these two dates, we need to convert that in the actual millisecond. And the function available is again in the date class. We can pass year and month, and then there's a method called value of, which will give you the value in the milliseconds. So if you hover your mouse here, it says returns the stored time value in millisecond since this date. That means it will give you the millisecond of the value, and then you can compare two dates, right? So these two utility we are going to use. One to convert whatever month you are providing, as for example, if you pass Jan or January. Let's try to run and show you. So for example, this will give me the in millisecond value, and this will give me December we are saying, then we should get a value here 12. So let's see how. Let me try to run npx ts-node and file name. Now this is the millisecond value of the date. We are passing 2013 and 12. So it is converted in a millisecond. Now here because we are passing December, this becomes 12, not December. You can pass even this, and this also can give you 12 only. then you can pass, if you pass January, it should give you 1, or if you pass Jan also, it will give you 1. So this is the benefit. You need not to give full name, you can give partial name and still give you the correct value here in the month. So these are the two utilities, keep in mind, we are going to use it, right? Now let's get into the code here. So this function will expect 3 parameter, day, month and year, because based on that only we're going to decide what we need to select. Now what we have to do, first you have to click on this calendar icon. So we have to say, I have written already locator for this date beacon calendar icon. So await this dot, let's first say wait for clickable, because it might take some time to appear and sometime it may fail. So let's handle the wait and then perform click. So first it will handle the wait, then it will perform the click. Right, so once it performs the click, it will open this icon. Then you need to retrieve this month and year. So let's write the code for that. Const actual month, and then we have to say this dot await this dot. I have written a locator to retrieve the month. This is month date picker dot get text. So when you say get text, you'll retrieve the text value of that particular locator. So in this we are going to retrieve month. Similarly, const actual year await this dot year date picker dot get text. Let me remove this bracket that has been added here and here. So now if you hover your mouse here, this is the return type is string, and even for this it's a string. Now we need to convert these two in actual date value, because this will give you the month as a string and actual year as a string, and we need to convert these two based on this month and year. We need to convert these to date value, and similarly for the whatever you are passing month and year, we need to convert the date value. So what we have to do now, let's create two variable, const expected date value is equal to, now we have seen this code, right, date value. So how we can use this, let me use this code. So I'll copy paste from here. Now here you have to pass, instead of whatever you're passing, this is a year, and then whatever you're passing is a month, but this parameter expect month also as a number, and here what we are passing month as a string. So we need a mechanism to convert month string to a number. So we have a code for that as well here. So let's use this as well. So what we can do is const expected month in number equal to this, and here you have to month, you have to pass as dollar curly bracket and month, and let's pass this here. So what will happen, expected date value will get based on what you are passing year and the month, and then get value of. Similarly you have to say const actual date value, and this actual date value will be the retrieved text from what you retrieve the text from the UI based on that converted date. So we have a month and year here. So let's use this utility again, and here you have to pass actual year, and this is going to give you error now, an actual month. Now reason, because this expects both as a number, but this is a string, so we need to convert these two also as month. Now for month we already have a conversion way where we can convert here in this way. So I'm just going to copy here, and instead of expected month I'll say actual month, and the value will be this one. So this will give me actual month in number. Now actual year in number, how we can, so this is also, see, when you retrieve a text, for example you retrieve 2023, so 2023 looks like a number, but when you retrieve, the value will be string anyway, it will not be a number. So what you have to do, you have to convert that as well as a number. So let's say const actual year in number, and how you can convert that. So because this retrieve retrieve it as a number only, but in form of string. So that means this will retrieve 2023 only, but it will be like in the double quote as a string. So we can simply convert using, say, number in capital, and inside that, if you pass this actual year value, it will convert you to the number. So now if you see the type here, it's a number, right? The type will become number. So let's pass this here now, right? So expected, now we have expected date value and actual date value, both we already have now. So we need to use this. Now how we can use this? We need to first compare whether my expected date value. So first we need to do things. We need to keep on going, move forward or backward until my date matches, right? So keep on going until. So you need to you need to write some loop. So let's write a condition here, while actual date value is not equal to expected date value. Until then, keep on doing some operation until my date matches what I pass and what is here. Keep on doing what we have to do. We have to either go forward or backward. So in which condition we have to go forward? For example, if I say my expected value is 2023, right? But actual is 2022. That means let's write a condition here. If actual date value is greater than expected date value. So my actual date is greater, expected is smaller. So you have to go backward. So we have to say await this dot. I have written a locator to go backward, and that is previous icon. Dot click. And I remove this extra added await. And then you have to say else if actual date value is less than expected date value. That means if actual date is 2024, but you are expecting 2025, right? Then you have to go forward. So you have to click on forward icon. That means next icon. So here you have to click on the next icon. And this is not the right place to write the code. It's going to be here. Let's do some formatting, right click and format document. So what will happen now? Let's understand again. This will first wait and click on this calendar icon. Okay. Once this opens, then we need to retrieve the month and year here. And based on that, based on this month and year, we need to convert that to actual date value in the millisecond so that we can compare these two. Then we have actual month also and a year also, that also we need to get in actual date value based on the conversion we do. And then once we have these two actual date values, we need to compare until these two matches, keep on going forward or backward. In which condition will go forward? If your actual date value, that means whatever you retrieve from here is smaller than what you are expecting, then you have to go forward, otherwise keep on going backward. So this is the logic. Once this is done, that means once you are in the, after going forward and backward, right, you are in the right grid, then you need to select the date. So for the selecting a date, we already have a locator here. And you can just, or otherwise I can copy this from the previous methods which you have written, and you have to write outside of the while loop. That means once all this completes, then you need to write this locator. Yeah, so once all this while is done, then you need to perform click. Now when you run this, it's not going to work, right? Though the logic that we supposed to write, we have written correctly, because we are performing click, we are retrieving the text, we are converting that in the millisecond here, and then we are comparing, keep on doing some operation like going the loop, and then if the date matches based on the date is greater or smaller, we are clicking on next, and at the last we are clicking on here the matching date, right? So that's what we are doing here. Now when you run this, right, it's going to go in the forever loop, it's not going to end. Reason, because what happens, this while loop will keep on continuing until this condition satisfies. And what will happen, actual date value is always going to remain same, because once you run this code, it comes here, it all does the operation, expected value will remain same, actual value will remain same, and it's never going to change it, and it's keep on going in the same loop. But what we should do is, every time we do forward, we need to retrieve the text again, and then we need to convert that in millisecond. If you go backward, again we need to retrieve the text, and then we need to convert in the millisecond and then compare. That means after every click, retrieve the text again, then convert that to millisecond, and then you need to again compare and then perform next and all. But here you are retrieving text only one time, and then you keep on trying to compare whether both are matching. Both will never match because you are retrieving text only one time. It's like, you're opening the icon here, retrieving November 2022, and then keep on going forward or backward, and you're trying to you're not retrieving the text, you are comparing your expected text with the same text again and again. So it's not going to work. So how we going to fix this? Now what we'll need to do first, another thing we need to notice is this method or function looks too big. It is doing so many things. Whenever you are writing a method which has so many things, you should break it into smaller parts. So let's break in a smaller part. What we can do, retrieving the text and converting to the actual expected value. Let's move into another class, another method. So I'll create sync, and I'll create a private method here because we are not going to use this in any other file, only this file. So private sync, and then I'll say get actual date value in millisecond, or just say actual date value. That's should be enough. And I'll just write the code here. I think we have written wrong. We need this, and then we need actual here, and then we have to return it. Sorry, to use this, and then we have to return the value actual date value. Now what we can do is we can simply comment this completely, not this one, actual this, and then actual this one, and even actual this value. And for expected, let's create another method here, private async, and here instead of get expected date value, but here you need to give a parameter. I'll tell you why. Now here this function expects month and year, two things, and here you are passing month and year already. So let's copy this, and then you have to say return expected date value. So now we even don't need this. Now wherever we have actual, we need to call this function actual date value. So let's call this function. So we have to say await this dot. That's it. Let's replace it everywhere we are using actual date value. Here, here, and wherever we are expecting expected date value. Now here, if you notice, you need to pass not in this one here. Now here I have added async, but there is no await has been used. We are not dealing with promise. For example, in the previous one, we are dealing with await, and that is why we have made async. But in this function, we are not using await anywhere. That means we are not dealing with promises, so we can remove async directly. We don't need async. Now let's call this function in our test. So you don't have to say await, directly function name, and then you have to say month and year, what it is expecting, month and year. So you have to say month, year, and let's replace it everywhere. So now let's delete this code. So if you notice now, right, our function became too smaller and it is more readable, right? So what we are trying to do, it says actual date value is not equal to expected date value, and then keep on doing comparison, and based on that it is performing forward and backward. Now even this code you can move it, in your another function. For example, you can say private async, and then you can say navigate to matching date grid, and then you can pass it, not this one. You can copy this code and you can pass it here, and here only thing you should expect is month and year. So you can say month and year here. From here you can and then you can, instead of having all this while loop here, you can simply say this dot month comma year. You have to add a wait. Now your code looks much smaller. So what we did, let's understand again. We have segregated the retrieving the actual date value from the UI. This function will retrieve the actual date value here. It will go, it will retrieve the text, it will retrieve the year, and then it will convert to number, and then it will convert to the millisecond. That's what it will do here. Then there's another function, whatever you're passing from the expected date value, that also will convert it into the millisecond, right, based on the month and year. Then there is another function we have created where it will handle the while condition and then going forward and backward, right? This is another function where you need to, based on the month and year you are passing your expected month and year, it will perform like it's saying navigate to matching grid. That means either here or here, wherever your date is there, current matching grid, it will navigate there, and then at last it will select the date. So now this looks, your code looks much cleaner and more readable, and we have broken down into the smaller chunks of the code, that the big function, so that it will be easily readable and understandable. Now let's call this function in our test. So I have this test created already, calendar page, and then you have to pass the month here. And when we run this, it hopefully should work. So what I'll do is, just for time being, I'll say browser.pause. I wait, browser.pause, 3 seconds. Now let's see what we are expecting. We are passing 20 Jan 2024, right? So how you will see here is something like, here first year month comes, then date. So that means you should see 1/20/2024. 1/20/2024 you should see. So let's run and check. Okay, there is some error, so let's handle that. No problem. It's saying element is not interactable. So let's see which element is not interactable. Probably we are handling wait for clickable. Here it's okay, here it's okay. Here we are performing a click, right? Let's handle that. Click, wait for clickable. And even for this also, let's handle wait for clickable. So then it should handle the wait. So something is wrong. Okay, there's a mistake here I have done. So if you see here, I'm already clicking on date picker icon, waiting, and then performing a click. And then I have copied the code here as well. We don't need this again and again, right? We just need only one time we need to click on that. So that was a mistake. Now let's try to run it again. See if it is forwarding now, and it is first, that is first 20 in 2024. What if we give the backward date? So we are in 2023, let me give 2021, and instead of Jan, let's say December. So we are going to select 12/20/2021, and let's see if it's working fine or not. It's going backward. See, 12/20/21 based on whatever we have given. So yeah, this seems to be working perfectly fine, and it is based on the date you are selecting. It is going to the forward and backward, and it is selecting. So a bit maybe complicated and tough to understand because we have written so many things, but slowly you just try to understand what we have done in the smaller chunks, right? And then it will start making sense to you. We are retrieving the actual text from the UI and then converting to the millisecond. We are getting from expected date and then converting to millisecond. Then based on millisecond we are passing, we are deciding we have to loop through, keep on going forward and backward. So we have a condition for if greater than, if less than, and then based on that going forward and backward. And once that is matches, then you perform click on that particular date. Let me remove the wait because that was removed for first. And yeah, this is going to work. in your calendar, you might have different way to handle that. So you need to see what kind of date util you have and what kind of operation you want to perform. So it may vary, but if you apply the logic correctly, you will be able to handle with these 3 different calendar I have shown in previous one video, and then this video, if you follow it along, right, you'll be able to, like handle any kind of date. So yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you so much.